Good morning, guys. Good morning, guys. You know what we're up to today? It's sizing, the last one of the before we head out. Here's our, oops. We're at, what is it, 11 degrees or something up here. But we have help. We have a new hot carpet. We had a hot carpet here last time I tried this a couple of weeks ago. We have a new carpet. The carpet now extends the full length of the table up to here. It's not super hot. It's one of those carpets that they put on the floor near in the kitchen so the housewife can keep her feet warm. And there's a heating pad now all the way across, which should help because there's two things. I have two types of paper to do today. I have a bunch of thinner strips you'll see, and I have a bunch of wider strips. So we'll be able to keep one batch warm while I'm doing the rest, the other ones. But I'm really close to the Ethernet cable, you know. I don't know. I don't want to be too close here. We'll see, we'll see, we'll see. Okay, let's get organized. I need a brush. I also have news on the brush front. We've been using this brush, one that Aoyama-san made for me a while ago. It's made from two smaller ones put together, and it's okay. It's doing all right. In fact, I will put it in there now to get softened up so I can get going in a minute. We've tried to get bigger brushes. We've tried to order them from different brush makers around the country. We got one. I showed it to you a while ago, about a year ago or so. We ordered a special sizing brush from one of the big brush makers, and what came back was a tragedy. It was a piece of freaking plywood, and the hair looked okay, but it was way too short. The hair needs to be a good centimeter longer than this. Totally unusable. We phoned the guy back. That's all I can do, that's all I can do, that's all I can do. But I had a visit last week from Mitamura-san. He's a guy about, I don't know, in his 50s somewhere. He's one of the printers downstairs in the Craftsmen's Association. We don't use him for our printing work because the style of prints they make are kind of different from what we want. But anyway, he's interested in helping push this stuff ahead. There's some small prints he's made that are now in our shop as guest prints, and he has been, he knows what I'm trying to do, work out the sizing here. And he's never done sizing himself. He's just a printer, but he had access to something. He has or had a sizing brush. No idea. His father must have bought it years ago. His father used to be the head of the association back when I first came to Japan here, to Tokyo here. This is long gone. But he had a sizing brush. Large, big one, just about the same size as the one I've been using. And it's never, ever, ever been used. I would like to experiment with it. It seems a bit light, and I'm not quite sure if there's enough hair. And I don't have enough time right now to play with this. The batch of paper I've got to do today has got to be done and good and out for printing. There's no time to experiment. But when I get back from Canada, and when we get into the spring, when it gets a bit warmer and things are not so critical here, I'm going to get this brush in our liquid and have a go at it. It seems a bit lightweight. I'm not sure if there's enough density in the hair. But it looks like a breakthrough. And he said it's made by a company called Kobayashi, which is still there, who we had contacted years ago about making brushes. No, we can't do that, we can't do that, we can't do that. And he said he talked to Kobayashi, and they said they would be able to make more of these. So things are pending. I'm going to have a check when I get back from Canada in early March. I'm going to have a check on this, and we'll see. Maybe there's a breakthrough in brushes. And what we will tell them also too is that if you can make a brush that we would like to use, don't just make one. We would have a lot of people out there in the world who are interested in learning how to use these. So we could get back in business with some large sizing brushes. And I had nothing to do with putting that together. Just Mitamura-san knew what we were trying to do, and he had the connection there. People that we'd already asked about this. Anyway, whatever. Okay, let's get up and running here. What am I going to do? The size is ready. We are down to 37.5 grams per liter. I had it at 40 grams per liter last time. You know, this is the middle of winter. It's supposed to be a low level of glue. I had it at 40 grams. I thought it was okay. The printer said, nope, it's still too hard. The pigment still doesn't want to go inside the paper. So I'm going to drop it more. I have dropped the Nikawa ratio to 37.5 grams per liter, and we are using, I've forgotten how many grams per liter of alum. Just a sec, let me find my file. 5 grams of alum per liter. So we're way down on both of those things. We've dropped it all. That's the usual thing. In summer, you need more glue to help strengthen the weak paper, and in winter, you need less glue. In winter, you need less glue. Where will I go in Canada? It's a family get-together, family reunion. We don't call it that anymore. Family get-together. You see my mom. She's probably here today. I'll see my kids, and I'll see my grandchildren. 3 of them. They're multiplying. Okay, let's get on the road here. Brush looks ready to go. So I want to keep this second batch of paper ready and warm for when I start that half an hour from now or an hour from now. So that can stay warm. This is the pad that's been warming up for the past hour. This paper has now been warming up for the past hour. This is all nice and warm. I wonder if we can help keep this warm. Oh, it's all positioned a bit too far back. Come on. Put your paper to bed. Okay, here we go. I'm too close to the computer here, though, you know. That's too long. I wonder if I can get away with it like this. Let's try it. Okay. Gotta move this. So, let's go. That's not going to work. Yeah, the paper is out. It's right here. The freezer's here. The paper for Leichan is out. It's right behind me on the back here. So thanks for the reminder, but yes, it is out. The sheets I'm doing right now, there's a bunch of different prints are going to be coming out of the paper I do here this morning. These sheets, the larger ones, They will be cut in 4 at printing time, and they are going to make the image in our catalog called a Tago no Ura, Tago Bei. It's one of the Tsuchiya Koitsu prints from a set of blocks that I carved myself about 15 years ago. It's one of the best sellers in our catalog. And we're out of it again, and I think this is like the 3rd time or 4th time in a year that we are reprinting it. It's really popular. Go to Brazil. You're asking me to go to Brazil? I'm sorry, I have no plans whatsoever to go to Brazil. I'm busy, busy, busy. There's a young man from Brazil who is here in Tokyo for the past few years, Fernando Saiki. He's working over at the Geidai University. I think he's still here. He may have gone back to Sao Paulo. I'm not quite sure. And he's working on learning traditional Japanese techniques here. And that's his motivation. He's learning what he can here for a few years. Then he intends to go back and get a professor job somewhere in Sao Paulo and teach the Japanese techniques down there. And he was there while he had Jed. Jed went down to do some kind of demonstration or class or talk or whatever. Too much liquid. It's so difficult. You want to get enough liquid in the brush to get to the end, but not so much that it drops out at the beginning. Better, better, better. What about barbecue? Is that what we're on today?
anytime in the past, whatever, few decades, anytime I've been over in America visiting friends, whatever, no matter where you are in that country, though, somebody says to you, hey, I got the best barbecue in the country. Let's go. I got to show you this neat little place. So, I don't know from whatever for barbecue, but everybody's so proud of their local barbecue.
Why the towels? We're trying to keep things warm here. We have a hot carpet on the table here. I'm trying to keep things as warm as I can. Our room temperature here is, I can never find the right spot for that. Our room temperature is like 11 degrees, and if I just work straight at room temperature here, the glue stiffens up quickly before it's properly distributed through the paper. So we're trying to keep it warm here. The mix is very weak today. We're down to 35, as I said, we're down to 35 grams per liter. So it doesn't even feel like glue. It feels almost like hot water. There's no smell. Well, not much smell. You could drink this, I think. It feels like consomme soup or something like this, Excuse me. Breakfast. Talk about food, sure, food. I know as of next week, I'll be in Vancouver, and my daughter runs a wedding supply business in downtown Vancouver, my second daughter. She has a workroom and stuff on West Pender Street. And right across the street from her office, kitty corner, there's a deli, an old-fashioned deli there. And for me, it's to die for. There's no delis like that here in Tokyo. Nothing, at least not in a practical sense. So I'm looking forward to visiting her workshop so I can partly see her and partly so I can get across the street to the deli. Poutine. I'm going to Vancouver, not Quebec. What's that all about?
Stop by Koreatown by Lougheed Highway. I live in Koreatown. Here in Asakusa, all the nightlife, all the bars and stuff are all run by Koreans here in Asakusa. The street Hoppidori, right next to my door. I go out of my door, and 10 seconds later, I'm on Hoppidori, the most famous Korean restaurant street here in Tokyo. No, Shinokubo. Shinokubo is more actually. When I said restaurants, that was not true. Shinokubo has more actual restaurants and different varieties of food. Here in Hoppidori, it's bar food. That's all. So I agree. This is not Korean restaurants. This is Korean. These are Korean bars, done so that Japanese people will like it. So I get it. I get it. It's not Korean cuisine, of course. Okay, let's flip this thing. Hopefully it has stayed reasonably warm. Over she goes. Ready? Yoisho! Nope. That's Aoyama-san's hot radiant heater, which we're not using today here. Now, I can't put a towel on it now, obviously a stack of wet paper, but I think we're okay. The paper itself is now quite warm. We're going to get going right back on this warm. So I think we're okay. Is that better? I can't put this straight on the hot pad because I've got another batch of paper under there keeping warm. So. Okay, let's go to the back side. Well, the paper's pretty warm, so I get less moisture in the brush, hopefully here. Not quite so saturated as we had for the first time. Move a bit faster and lighter. And get, hopefully, a good smooth coverage. Kiyosaki Onsen videos, that thing's still playing, you know. NHK still puts that out. I hear from people in the shop about that one all the time. I don't know, at least once a week or so, somebody in the shop says they've been to Kiyosaki Onsen. Thanks for the introduction. You know, like it wasn't up to me, but whatever. NHK doesn't call me for those anymore. I told you, you know, I've been laid off. It's been nearly 2 years now since I did one of those. I'm too old by their standards. Too old and white and bearded. The onsens there were fun. Boy, they were fun. Beautiful, beautiful. Nice, smooth, feeling silky water and really carefully prepared places. Language schools in Tokyo, I'm sorry, I don't have a clue about that. And literally, I just don't have any idea at all. I'm not up on that at all. The only one I've even heard of is the Kanda Gaigo Gakko. I don't know, the Kanda foreign language school. But good or not, I don't have any idea.
there must be lots of forums and information exchange and stuff online, but I'm sorry, I have no knowledge or experience of that stuff. I think we're doing nicely today, I think we are okay. It's still hard to see. The light comes from the side. We've talked about this before, I would like a front light here, but I think we're all right. It's so much easier with this hot carpet. My feet are cold, but the paper is warm. 4,000 yen for 6 months. That sounds like a pretty good deal. A long question, I can't see that. What's that? Ranking, I don't know. There's no easy answer to that, And also, I'm learning more. You saw that print we received. Adobe Update, get out of my life. Was it in yesterday's stream or 2 days ago stream? We got something from an auction site. It was a copy, a reproduction of a Meiji era Kuchie print, but it was made apparently in the 1950s. And I've written to the guy for more information. And if I hadn't seen that, I'd been telling people that we are doing a kind of level of work that hasn't been seen since the Meiji era. And I've been sort of blabbing about that for the past few years. The level of care and attention we take, the fine detail of our carving, the fact that we throw away everything that's misregistered, etc., etc., etc. I've been telling people the Mokuhankan prints we're publishing have a level of care and detail and attention that hasn't been seen, certainly in the post-war period. I've been saying that. And yet that print that I received from auctions the other day was post-war, and it blows me away. It's beautifully, beautifully, beautifully made, carved and produced and printed in wonderful paper. So there have been spots of work done here and there by people who have really tried to do magnificent work. The general run-of-the-mill level of work that we see here in Tokyo, all in the time that I've been here for the past nearly 40 years, has been very low class, low level. But having said that, that's probably actually exactly the way that it was back in the Meiji time. Most of the stuff was crap. There was some, a bunch of medium work and some very high quality work. So probably in that sense, nothing has changed, except that what I've been doing is I've been focusing on the best of the old stuff and saying this is how it should all be done. And you can't do that. You can't have a structure that looks like this. You need a pyramid with a wide base, junk work, medium work, and top work at the bottom. So bit by bit, I'm rethinking, my position here and what we're doing and what we're trying to do. Of course, I think the work we're doing is fabulous, and it really is. We're putting out, for the most part, very, very high quality prints, and we don't put out any lower level stuff. But I've got to be careful on how much I diss the other guys, because there is good work here and there. The biggest sea change, the biggest difference, that last David's Choice I did with those little small prints, for example, in the day, that was really junk work, That was, the guys were poorly paid, the work was supposed to get it out fast and quick and just blow it out of there. It was bottom level work. But when we look at it close up, it's beautifully, beautifully done. So that has changed. The general level of competence of your average worker, even back then, it was even very high. And that's changed now. The average guys in the Craftsmen's Association downtown now couldn't even touch that kind of work. If we tried to replicate one of those little match label prints, it would be an insane project. And it would be extremely, extremely expensive as a finished product. And back then it was dirt cheap. So that's what's changed. Yeah, that print we got the other day, it is top of my list. Now, Doi-san's coming tomorrow. I've already written to him about it. And he and I are going to dig into that and find out what the publishing project was. Are there any more of those prints available? Where can we get them? Who made them? Now that we know that thing exists, that 1950s era Couchier reproduction, now that we know it exists, we are going to find some more information and hopefully maybe at one point get a David's Choice video or something. But right now I don't know enough about it to be able to tell you too much more. All I know is that, holy crap, look at this! Like we saw yesterday when I opened it up. Oh, it's running by pretty quickly here, so I can't see all the comments. Just a sec. You're running ahead of me here. Do I have any chance to check if the reproduction key block was wood or metal? You mean the print we got the other day, the 1950s reproduction? It must be wood, for sure it must be wood. I know. Even when the Couchier were made with metal blocks, they had to be carved on wood first and then dubbed into metal. And if it was a reproduction made in the 50s, they wouldn't be needing to make 10, 20, 30,000 copies. There would be no reason whatsoever to make it in metal, even if they knew how. So I would be staggered, stunned to hear that. I can't believe that would be the case. It'll be a normal carved on wood block, I think. Financially, I don't understand. What's happening financially with art to Japan?
I'm not sure what the question is. If you're talking about the art business, the fine art business, I know nothing about that. That's nothing to do with us, so I don't know what you mean. I'm sorry. We're just the printing business. We're one corner of a minor craft industry here in Japan. We're not part of the art scene in Japan at all. I mean, literally, we're not part of it at all. There are galleries and whatever and stuff and art and international and fairs and what. I know nothing about that. We are one very minor corner of a craft scene. Hey, we're done. My God, I threw this first stack. I've really kept on it. Now, how are we going to handle this? It's 8:30 here, but quite early, 8:40 here. This has to sit now for 15, 20 minutes or so before I hang it. Today is Sunday, of course, so I'm here by myself. There's no camera in here today to... No, that's the end of the big brush. That goes in for soaking. Next batch will be a smaller brush. Let me start soaking that. Next batch of paper will be on a smaller brush. And what do we got going here? Let's do this. Okay, that's got to sit for about 15 minutes. While we work on the second batch, but I should keep it warm, I think. Now I need more size. This is part of what was left over last time. Let's get here. Questions. Ishikawa-san isn't coming today. No, today the only person coming today is Rei-chan, and her paper is out. It's okay. Thanks for the reminder, but Rei-chan's paper is out. She's doing, what is she doing? I forget what she's doing.
Oh, some yokai. She's doing some back issues of the yokai series prints. And then she's going to start, and that's her papers here, this next batch. This is paper for Sugu-san. She's going to do some heron and iris prints. This is Lei-chan. She's going to do some peony and sparrow prints. And it's for Kawai-san. He's now ready for a new job, and he's going to do the one in our catalog called called Crow on Shrine Gate. We're out of 3 of our most popular prints, and that's what this paper's for. Questions. Hooch, whatever. Can I feel any difference with the heating pads? Yes, the heating is working wonderfully. This paper right now is soft and toasty warm. The glue is going to go melting right across it. The heating system is working wonderfully here. Except that there still isn't enough room to do 2 batches at once. Whatever, that'll have to go like this. Okay, I got some room now. Right. Tell you what, let's do this. Let's keep this paper. Let's keep this paper under here, why not? Woodblocks. Yes, we're making our own woodblocks. So, Aoyama-san made a new batch of woodblocks yesterday. You're asking me another question. The old solid cherry. We're making our own woodblocks now on plywood core with cherry, and we've got 3 or 4 types of wood. We've got some wood that I sourced from the lumber yards in Kiba a bunch of years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago, which has been drying in our workshop here, ready for use. We've got a tree we bought. We talked about it here. We bought a tree or something about a year ago, was it already? And then recently from Kyoto, we got a bunch of old wood blocks, used wood blocks, which we have been planing down and using again. So the wood story is growing and expanding and growing and expanding. We don't have a single wonderful solution for wood, but we're getting a good variety of different kinds of wood now. What type of epoxy do we use to laminate the cherry to the ply? It's right here. It's all in Japanese. It's Semidyne is the company name, and all it says is epoxy, and it's got 2 parts, A part and B part. That's the specific Japanese brand. And this is can A, and there's can B that goes with it. So I'm sorry, I don't have any specific English word to use for you. What? I don't know what kind of epoxy it is, only that we tested 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different types. How do we plane down a carved block? The block we get the wood blocks, they're carved on both sides with patterns. What we do first is we split it in half with a resaw. So it's carved on both sides, we split it in half if we can. That gives us 2 flat surfaces which we bond to the plywood core. So we've now got a big fat block. It's a plywood core with carved on both sides. We then run it through a planer, trim it down to really remove the carved part, and then dress it on the super slicer. That's the last step. Okay, I gotta get going, guys. I gotta get going. Because I gotta do the first half of this, then hang that, then come back and do the second half of this, then hang this. We don't buy from Yahoo. This stuff. Did you see that last night? The Great Wave set that went for Yahoo last night. 280,000 yen. The old Great Wave set from the Kyoto Hanga. We can't play in that. We can't pay $3,000 for a piece of wood. Of course not.
the person who bought that is either buying it as a valuable antique, or maybe he's a printer who wants to try printing it and selling prints. We thought about buying that last night, but not for $3,000. Okay, excuse me a minute. I got to focus on this just for a bit here to get this started. Now, the epoxy we're using, it's 24 hours. We know it's not 5 minutes. They go in there and we leave them alone for a day, at least a day. I like this brush very, very much. It's thick and rich. It holds a lot of juicy glue here. Am I the only one doing the sizing? Right now, this is me, yes. Shiba-san, one of our young girls here, she wants to learn how to do it for her own purposes. She doesn't want to be a sizer for the company here. But she's learning how to do it. And then about 2 years ago, my associate here, Aoyama-san, the guy who's doing the making the woodblocks here, for example, for us, and who helped me build the shop last year. He and I were working on it together, but it was trouble. I know, not that he did anything wrong. That was just at the time when we were having a huge problem with the paper from Iwano-san. And we couldn't tell what was wrong with our sizing, or what was wrong with the paper, or what was wrong with anything. It was chaos, absolute chaos. And at the same time, he and I were also trying to develop a way to do the sizing with the dip method, by dipping the paper into the sizing instead of brushing it. And the combination of too many variables, bad paper, training somebody, changing the method, it was absolute chaos. And the printers rebelled. They couldn't make prints on the paper because it was just chaotic, different every time. So what we did was we just cut away all the variables. Aoyama-san, take a rest from this, let me do it by myself. We'll put the dip machine away for a while, we'll just do it by brush, remove as many variables as we could to try and get things back on a stable footing. So that's what we did. We're stable now, and the printers have been really, really, really happy. The paper from Iwano-san has come back to life. It's in much better condition than it was 2 years ago. And we've come back to a stable situation. So now, moving forward again, when we have a bit of time for it, maybe certainly not in a cold situation, when the summertime, when the paper is soft again, we may now try this again. Aoyama-san and I will try level C of building ourselves a little machine to do this. But we had to recoup and retreat a little bit from all the experimentation. There were too many variables. How often do I do it? I don't know. You see me up here, what, every 10 days or so, I think, usually. It depends. I think about 10 days, 3 times a month or so. This batch here, I've checked the printer schedule very carefully, and this batch of paper I'm doing now should be enough to keep them busy until I get back from Vancouver. But I see on the DOSA calendar, the printer's on an order form for the paper, I get back on Friday, they need paper on Monday. So as soon as I get back, I got to hit the ground running and get some more paper sized for them. Yeah, the blocks last night, there was a red Fuji, and the red Fuji went for 120,000 yen, and the Great Wave went for 280,500 or something like that. And we looked at the auctions. I stood by ready to bid, but there's no way I'm going to pay that much for it. I'm sorry. Yeah.
One reason I wanted that key block, that Great Wave set of blocks, even if we wouldn't print and sell it, I wanted to study how they've done the separation of colors. And it seems like they've used 4 blocks for the blue as well. It's really curious what they've done. I don't know. I guess before the auction disappears, I should get the photographs off and try and study them. The grain of a piece of paper, the grain. No, for us, we can see it. When we hold the paper up, I don't know if you can see with no light behind, but we can see it. There's a visible grain. When they're rocking the paper this way, they have a sheet and they rock this way, and that's where the grain of the paper comes. And even if you can't see it in the paper, you can try it. When you take a piece of washi, look at this, it doesn't want to tear. I cannot tear this freaking piece of paper across the grain. But if I do it this way, it'll tear all the way down. So the paper, washi paper, of the kind we're using, will tear along the grain, but it won't tear. Literally, I can't do it. It won't tear across the grain. We have fun with people in the shop sometimes. You take a piece of this washi, roll it up like this, like a piece of string, and you put Mr. A rugby player and Mr. B rugby player on opposite sides of this. They cannot, 2 big powerful men cannot pull it apart. And that is a 1 inch wide, what is it, 1 inch wide? Or 2 inch wide piece of paper, and 2 big chunky males cannot tear it apart. And what's fun is this, you get Mr. A and Mr. B pulling like this, give me a break, give me a break. And if you stand with a drop of water and drop some water in the middle of it, up it comes. It's great fun. Back to work. Oops, Dave, trying to watch the stream inside. I can't do this. That set of blocks that was for sale on Yahoo Auctions yesterday, it's from the Kyoto Hangain, and it dates from about the 1960s. And don't take anything you see on those blocks as authentic Hokusai. This is just another reproduction company, same as me, doing what they feel like they have to do to get something out into the market. There's nothing authentic about that set of blocks at all. It's just another run-of-the-mill reproduction. And the curious part for me, one reason why I kind of thought that I might like to bid for that last night, is that Kyoto Hangain, one of their main carvers during that period was Harada-san, the guy who, I got my bench from. This is a bit late. If this is 1960s, and it's not him, because he died in whatever it was, 63 or so. But it could have been carved by Harada-san. But there's nothing authentic about it. They just grabbed some old copy somewhere as a guide and went ahead and made their own set of blocks.
We store paper of different sizes or order as you need for each series. All of our, the paper comes from the traditional maker in standard preset sizes. At the moment, Iwano-san, our paper supplier, has available 3 different sizes, and we're buying all 3 of those. In the olden days, there were many, many more preset dimensions available. These days it's all shrunk because there's been so little demand for paper over the years. He now makes paper, actually he makes it basically 2 sizes, but because of our special order, he makes it in 1 more of the old traditional sizes. We buy paper from him as what's called masaban, which is enough for say 2 great waves side by side. We then order paper from him called the Obiru Bosho, which is masaban a bit bigger, and that's what I'm doing now. I'm cutting half. If you imagine this piece of paper right now here as being like this. This is the actual size of the sheet. I've cut it in half for sizing. And that's too big for 2 great waves. It'll be, for example, 6 copies of that heron on of the crow on a shrine gate print that we're going to make from it. And then we also buy from him what the old size called takenaga. And what you saw me sizing earlier was half of a sheet of takenaga. And when we're designing a new print series, like last year when Jed and I were planning the Japan Journey series, I had to work with Jed to get a design format that he wanted to work with as far as drawing, but that had to fit cuttable from one of my standard paper sizes. And we designed it so that it would fit a takenaga sheet 18. From the big sheet of takenaga, I cut it in half for sizing, and the one you saw me just sizing would have taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Japan Journey prints. So our print series these days are all completely designed to fit within the paper that we have available. The new paper that we've been playing with, the one from Sawaki-san, we made our New Year's card this year on that paper. It's much larger in dimension, and we will have more flexibility on designing different kinds of print concepts because the paper itself is much larger. It's also got quite a different grain structure. The paper I just showed you a few minutes ago when I tried to tear it one way and the other way, that's Echizen Hosho, and that's part of its characteristics, is that it splits one way but not the other way. The new paper that Sawaki-san is preparing for us isn't like that. It will tear both ways, or whatever, resist tearing both ways. It has the same characteristics.
And this is part of the reason why it's not really working for us so far. Because he rocks it as he's doing the manufacture. The way he rocks the thing is a different method, and the fibers don't line up or scramble in a certain way. More blocks tonight. Are these more of the small Takamisawa ones? Hang on a sec. Yeah, these are the little Takamisawa blocks. So, got another batch. Look at him just stacking up the blocks. He's just selling them as an antique. He stacks up the piece of wood right on top of each other, scratching them all. Idiot. He's an antique dealer who's got a hold of this stuff. He doesn't know what he's got. You're laughing. I'm not laughing. It's been preserved since like whatever, 1920. This idiot gets a hold of it, and within minutes it's destroyed. There's a backstory on those Takamisawa blocks, you know. Those blocks you just linked me, the Hiroshige blocks, they're from the Takamisawa workshop, one of the main publishers during the 20th century. And there's a backstory I don't know much of. They got in real financial trouble at some point. This would be in the 1980s, I guess. They got in some real financial trouble, didn't pay their workers, couldn't do this. I got a phone call from one of the paper suppliers, say, Dave, do you know about Takamisawa? And I'm like, what are you asking me for? He said, well, I haven't paid their bill in 6 months. Are they okay? And I'm like, why are you asking me? And whatever. Anyway, they went bankrupt. Not in a legal sense, but they went bankrupt to the point where they couldn't continue business. And the story that I partially hear, and I know no details about this at all, is that at the time of collapse, some of the workers grabbed some of the blocks and took them away. And some of the people who had debts owed sent in the gangsters. And the Yakuza went in there and cleaned out the place. So a bunch of the blocks and paper stock and prints and all kinds of stuff were scooped up by gangster groups. This is just what I hear from you guys telling me the old stories. And that was the end of it. Those guys got the blocks. They had no idea. There was no value to them, but they were just trying to grab stuff from a collapsing company because they were owed money. Or their patron was owed money or something like this, you know. So those blocks now, after all this time, this is now 20, 30, 40 years later, those blocks are now dribbling out. And the blocks you see on this auction right here are from one of those back routes. One of the employees took some blocks home and now he's selling them off. Or one of the gangster groups has finally got them out into the world somehow. I don't know anything more about it than that. Looking at that auction listing now, it seems like a dealer, just a general dealer, not a print person or anything, just a typical antique/junk dealer has got them. And he doesn't know what they are or anything about the value.
And there are thousands and thousands and thousands of them. I mean, our own little business here now, I've got thousands, literally thousands of wood blocks. And something like Takamizawa, which had been in business since Meiji Dot or something, I have no idea. They would have needed shipping trucks to go and take away all those blocks. There must have been so many blocks. And this is just another handful of them coming out now. So whatever, I'm pissed to see that they're being maltreated, but whatever, it's a bunch of wood. Our focus is on making new stuff, you know. That's what we should just keep our focus on. Don't too much worry about the antique stuff. Don't try and gather together everything and protect it all. Just focus on our own work, making new prints, hiring people, training people, pushing this forward, and just close my eyes to that stuff. The 100 Poets, we have a few sets left. I think there's about 13 sets left that I made myself. And those we only sell as sets. Once or twice a year we get an order for one of those. In addition to that, we've got some prints from the series in the shop. 3 years ago, Ayumi-san took some of my Shakunishu blocks and we printed some single prints from them. They're in the shop right now. As I speak, they're downstairs. So we've got 3 or 4 single prints from the series available, not printed by me. But as far as the whole set goes, we've still got a dozen or so sets left that were printed by me. And when they're gone, that's that. Of course, I'll never be doing that again. Of course not. And it's kind of on our list of things to do at some point. Go over to Ome, look at the inventory, and do a bit of promotion or something. Here it is, David's final last 10 sets are available or something. I don't know, no idea. It's just not a priority for us right now. The prints are happily sleeping in the drawers there. We'll wake it up at some point. Like this year, we woke up my Solitude series, my old prints. There was a bunch in the drawers over there. We've now brought it back to life. We've sewn up some more books. So bit by bit, we're looking in the drawers there and recovering what's there. The Poet series is not a high priority. I'm not sure about the registration question you're asking. I don't know. The blocks don't have to be the same size as the paper. No, when I made the scroll print a few years ago, in fact, there's a set of photos on the web. You could look it up. Some of the blocks are much smaller than the paper, so I made a registration jig. I had a big jig with registration marks to hold the paper, but the block would have just been one little small place inside there. So we put the paper into the registration board, print the little bit that's necessary, and put it away. So the paper can be bigger than the block, as long as you've got your registration distances worked out properly. Western printmakers have a real problem with that because they want prints with big, wide, fat, white margins. So they've got a registration mark here, but the printable area is way inside. So you don't need a huge wood block that big. So they make the wood block fit the printable area, and they have a separate outside jig for this. It's called Soto Kento, outside Kento. And you can do it a million ways. You can cut the Kento on your kitchen table, put your paper there, and put the wood block where you need the wood block to be. There's nothing magic about registration marks. You can cut them on the floor. It doesn't make any difference. It doesn't matter.
All the Western stuff done with presses and etching plates and whatever, there's never a registration mark on an etching plate. There's a registration mark in the press system itself, and then the plate fits within that. So in the Western world, for the most part, registration and plates are different. For us, for the most part, for convenience, the registration is on each plate, each block. But it doesn't have to be. And the bigger your margins are, the more of a problem with that you have. And in the Japanese traditional system, they were next to no margins. The prints we're going to make from this paper they're going to have nearly no margins at all. Well, a few millimeters at most. The jig, there's a set of web pages. If you go to woodblock.com/scroll, woodblock.com/scroll, you'll poke around in there. You'll find a bunch of photographs, processed photographs from the year and a half that I took to make it, showing the moistening cabinet, the special system, the foot pedals for opening it, the ropes for hanging, the jig. It was a special project, and it's all documented. The jig, I think, is still out there in Ome somewhere, thrown at one side of the workshop. I don't know, it's in there somewhere. I don't have any plans whatsoever to reprint that scroll. Once it's gone, it's gone. There's a dozen or so left, I think. But again, with that scroll, remember, that's not the way to do it. That's just one way to do it. You got to figure it out, you know. Now, what are we going to do here? I've got 3 or 4 sheets left here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then I have to flip this over and let it sit for 10 minutes, but I've got to go hang the other stuff. It's 9:14 now. So what should we do? I don't think I can move all the camera myself. There's no camera in here to help today because it's a Sunday. So we should either just shut this down when I'm finished this and I'll do the rest of it on my own time, or should I do a quick short stream from the next room while I'm hanging it? The FAQ question, it wasn't just about bot commands. It's a question of how to explain things more in depth. In yesterday's stream, we had a whole bunch of new people coming in, and I was doing something that wasn't quite easy to understand. And the people who came in for the first time, and maybe there's some here today, they don't understand the overview of the process. So I need some links to some quick, easy to understand overviews of what the hell is going on here kind of stuff. It's not a question that a printmaker who's already doing it would want to be answered, but it's a what is going on here answer. So I need a kind of FAQ that would link to, I think, a series of short videos just showing what's going on. I'm trying to get the concept worked out in my head how to do that. You know? But basically what it means is writing an encyclopedia about how to make woodblock prints, you know, whatever. This is going well today. You know, this paper is warm and soft. It's just like doing it in summertime. I should have done this years ago. I can't believe I was so brain dead not to do this. The Printmaking 101 video. We sort of did that. That video I made showing the Chibi Heroes. Jed drew it, sent it to me. I cut it. We did color blocks. But it's 15 minutes long. And it doesn't really explain anything because it goes by quite so fast. So yeah, Printmaking 101 video. What a project. My God. Now, NHK here on TV, they have a general channel and they have an educational channel. And every now and then on the educational channel, they get a teacher in to do something. Let's do flower arranging, whatever. And they do it over a period of, say, 6 months or something. And every Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock, there's this teacher comes on for the flower arranging. He says, okay, today's class is about such and such, such and such. And they publish textbooks to go with it. And it's a course. They do a TV course on this little craft or whatever. And it goes on for 3 months or 6 months or something. And there's a textbook published each month and people follow along with it. They have done them in the past on woodblock printmaking. Not at ukiyo-e master carving level, but at the level that people might want to make their own New Year's card or something. So there are some of these NHK materials available. And I've always had it in mind that one day I'm going to pick up the phone. Hello, moshi moshi. NHK desu ka? Kyoiku terebi. So desu ka? And they will ask me to do one of these sort of classes on how to do woodblock printmaking. And if that phone call comes, I'm of two minds. I do not think I have the time to go and do that, but it would be a really kind of cool thing. Do a 3 month or 6 months TV program, which would take people through the whole process of making a print. Each week they get an assignment and they have to finish it by the next Sunday afternoon, blah, 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 blah. That would be real cool fun to do. Okay, let's do this. What have we got now? Let's see, get this out of the way for a minute. I need to cover this. Are the links online? No, these are TV programs talking about. It's nothing to do with the internet. NHK doesn't broadcast their stuff on the internet. There's a big discussion in Japan happening right now, whether NHK should start simulcasting everything, broadcasting it on the internet as well as broadcasting it online, on air. There's a huge discussion going back on about what NHK should be. Actually, let's leave that there for a minute because I think I will move the camera. Can I? No, let's put it in this one. Okay, let's try this then. It's 9:19, so we'll put that to bed for a minute. Let me try this. I'll shut the stream down, move the camera to the next room, and I'll come back up in 2 or 3 minutes. You can see me hang the paper for the last stage of this process, and then we'll shut it down and I'll get down into the shop. No, I won't. I'll come and finish the back of this without online. Then just around, this is Sunday. Today there will be one more stream before our big vacation break. Tomorrow's stream will be done on my carving bench and I'm still trying to finish the 5th print in this year's series. I haven't touched it since I was there yesterday. So anyway, let me do this. I'm going to try moving this thing, but almost certainly I will break the internet connection. Let's try this. Power off the computer. Unplug. We're going to run on battery. Move the cable so I don't trip over it. Good. Step 2. I'm going to power down the main camera. You will see the main screen go blank, and I will stay here in the corner. And we will then try and carry everything into the next room. Good luck. You got to be kidding. Am I really going to be able to do this by myself? Let's try it. As I said, it might go down. If it goes down, don't panic. I'll come back up. Are we on top of that? On top of that plug. We won't get caught there. That's clear. This is going to be... on top of that. No, we're not. We're tangled in the internet cable. Okay, let's get this sorted out before. If there's any physical way for a cable to get tangled, it will get tangled. Okay, that's clear. Let's try this. Good luck.
There's no way this is going to work. Did we make it? Are we still here? Are we up and running? Are we here? Stream is good. We're still there. Okay. Good, 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 good. Okay, anyway, so let's get this done. Just hang up this paper and then sign off. Here we are. There's, oh, I got to move that thing. Yeah, okay. I get you. I get you. Height. Height. Move it down where? Down here. Can I? Okay, let me get the paper. Clip ready, paper ready, hooks ready. Let's do this. Okay, the paper is now face down. We've done both sides. We are dropping frames like crazy. Yes, am I dropping frames? I'm dropping it. Bad Wi-Fi. We shouldn't be on Wi-Fi. We're wired into the internet here. Let me go and check. We are connected through Thunderbolt to the Ethernet directly. There is Wi-Fi also running in the background. Did it switch to Wi-Fi? Battery mode. That's one reason why we may be dropping frames. It switched to battery mode. Anyway, whatever. I've got to do this. If it's not working quite perfectly, whatever. I've got to hang this up and then we'll be signing off in a minute. So just consider it a little extra bonus time or something, whatever. As I said, the paper's face down. So we flip the first one. The first sheet is now face up. I'm going to take the first sheet and second sheet together. Another great wave order. The first sheet is face up, the second sheet's face down. So they are back to back. Special clip for gripping it. And there we go. Two sheets back to back up for drying. You can't see it. There's just a bunch of strings up on the ceiling, that's all. And something is struggling here. Absolutely, something is struggling.
It's not doing well, is it? It's struggling, you know. Can't be helped, I'm sorry. I've just got to get this done, I'm sorry. I can't really mess with the stream right now, so. Someone asked about clothespins. These don't leave an impression because they are the kind that are meant for use with underwear. They're what they're called stagio. They don't have grooves. There's no edges on it. They're flat, smooth plastic. And I keep it, of course, just at the edge.